Very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for joining us in yet another session for the Faculty Development Program. Ms. Dimutu, I request you to please begin with the welcome speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's with immense pleasure and sincere warmth that I extend a heartfelt welcome to the 10th session of the Faculty Development Program organized by the Faculty of Management Studies at Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka in partnership with Emerald Publishing. Your attendance today signifies our collective dedication to academic excellence and professional advancement. First, I extend a warm greeting to Prof. Jayantha, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies at Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Next, I extend a hearty welcome to our esteemed guest speaker for today's session, Professor Dewasiri and Jayantha, who serves as a professor in the Department of Accountancy and Finance at Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. With sincere appreciation, I next welcome Professor M.S.M. Aslam, who chairs the Research and Publication Unit at Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Gratefully, I extend a warm welcome to Ms. Disha Lakanpal, the Chief Organizer of the Faculty Development Program at Emerald Publishing. Furthermore, I extend a warm welcome to Ms. Shanika Ratnasiri, serving as the Secretary of the FTP, and Ms. Kaushalyani Rwandika, the Coordinating Secretary of the Faculty Development Program. Additionally, a sincere welcome to each of you. Let us embark on this journey of discovery and collaboration together, forging partnership that transcend boundaries and academic disciplines, thereby contributing to a brighter future for academia and beyond. Thank you. And before proceeding to today's session themed How to Achieve Competitive Advantages for a Top-Tier Publication, let me introduce our esteemed resource person of session 10, Professor Dewasiri and Jayantha, to the valued audience. Professor Dewasiri and Jayantha is a professor attached to the Department of Accountancy and Finance, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. He also serves as the Vice President, Education and Research at the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. He holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Finance from the University of Colombo and MSc in Applied Finance and a postgraduate diploma from University of Sri Jayawardhanapura and BA Hons in Business from Glenberg University, UK. Further, he is a member of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, Chartered Institute of Marketing, a fellow member of the Chartered Management Institute, and also a certified management accountant. After serving 17 years in the industry, he joined academia, and he is a pioneer in applied triangulation research approaches in the management discipline. He is currently serving as the co-editor-in-chief of the South Asian Journal of Marketing, published by the Emerald Publishing, senior associate editor of the FIIB Business Review, published by Sage Publishing, managing editor of the South Asian Journal of Tourism and Hospitality, published by the Faculty of Management Studies. He has been awarded for research excellence several times, including the University of Michigan International Mixed Method Scholarship Award, Best Researcher of the Faculty of Management Studies of the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka for 2022, and also Grand Winner of the IIARI Tribunary Award 2021 in Asia for Research Excellence. Grand Winner of the Dean's Award for the Research Excellence at the Faculty of Management Studies, the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka for 2021, and several Best Paper Awards at the conferences. He has published extensively in top-tier research journals, including Managerial Finance, Qualitative Research in Finance Markets, Journal of Public Affairs, International Journal of Qualitative Methods, etc. He is the main contributor of the introductory theme to the data triangulation approach to the finance discipline. Recently, he has been accredited as a fellow chartered manager FCMI by the Chartered Institute of Management UK. Considering his valuable contribution to research and academia, Emerald Publishing UK has appointed him as the brand ambassador for its South Asia region. Dear sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dimutu, for your introduction. Very good afternoon, everyone. So as a co-founder of the Faculty Development Program, which is conducted in collaboration with the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka and also Emerald Publishing, I'm truly honored to be here with you today. So I would like to express my sincere gratitude for the invaluable support provided by Emerald Publishing and also the Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka throughout the past 9 sessions in establishing this platform aimed at enhancing the skills of the researchers in the South Asian region. Today, we have gathered here to discuss on a timely important topic. So that is how to achieve competitive advantages for top tier publications. So this discussion comes as a critical juncture as the pursuit of excellence in scholarly publications continues to be a priority for academics worldwide. So with that note, next slide, Disa. During this session, I will be sharing insights on a winning formula for achieving top tier publications. So we will explore key strategies, discussing what to focus, how to differentiate your work, how to foster innovation throughout the research process. In addition to that, I will cover practical tips on structuring your article and crafting an effective cover letter. So throughout our discussion today, I encourage you to actively engage with the strategies and insights shared so that in order to reflect on how you can apply them to your own research endeavors. So that is the whole objective of today's discussion. It is important to recognize that success in scientific publishing, that is not a result of magic or luck. So as you are all aware, rather it is the culmination of hard work, dedication, and strategic planning. So as both an author and an editor, I am passionate about empowering researchers to navigate the competitive landscape of academic publishing and achieve sustainable competitive advantages among their peers. So imagine you are operating in a competitive industry and striving to gain an edge over your rivals or competitors. What sort of strategies would you employ in order to achieve the same? So that is the question for today. Next slide, Disa. So as you can see on this Venn diagram, so we can use Porter's generic strategies such as differentiation and focus. In addition to that, we can focus on blue ocean strategies through continuous innovations and also white ocean strategies through competitive collaborations. So similarly, I argue that we can use the same set of strategies in publishing in a top tier journal as well. So as you can see on this Venn diagram, stated in this figure 1, so the strategy is to enhance the focus, differentiation, innovation and collaboration in order to increase the intersection that represent the decisive competitive advantages. So we call it as sustainable competitive advantages. So here, as authors, you can improve the originality and contribution of your work while opening a room for a top tier publication through definitive competitive advantages. So in addition to that, it is possible to achieve the first move advantage when you apply these strategies together for a top tier publication. So therefore, you need to develop a sustainable competitive advantages in order to successfully provide a superior value to your customers who are the readers and also the editors. So we call it as value proposition. So this is for a very specific audience. Here, I would like to explain the ways and means of using each strategy in publishing in a top tier journal. So here, as you can see on this Venn diagram, we have taken 2 strategies, that is focus and differentiation from the red ocean strategies under the Porter's generic approach. In addition to that, we have taken the continuous innovation that is taken from blue ocean strategies and also the collaboration that is taken from the white ocean strategies. So here we are discussing these strategies together in order to gain competitive advantages among the peer submission. So today we are going to discuss the ways and means of achieving the same. Next slide, Disa. So when we look at the focus strategy at the first place, so the question is, what to focus on when conducting the research and also writing the manuscript. So in this session, I'm addressing a few areas to be focused, specifically focusing on a suitable journal. In addition to that, focus on quality than the quantity, focus on the audience, focus human, social, environmental, and behavioral implications. In addition to that, we will focus on originality, and finally, we have to focus on the manuscripts. So these are the most important areas we should focus in publishing in a top tier journal and to have competitive advantage over the peer submissions. So when we look at focusing on a suitable journal, so our question today is how to find a suitable journal. So there are specific and unique guidelines for each candidate journal, so that the authors need to focus on one particular journal in order to reduce the time required for a revision in a later stage. So as I explained, how to select a suitable journal, that is a question for all the authors when selecting a journal. So Journal Finder, that is a digital tool that helps you to find journals that could be best suited for publishing your scientific article. Next slide, Lisa, please. In addition to the Journal Finder, you can focus on the aims and scope of the journal, impact factor of the journal, and also you can focus on published articles by the outlet when selecting the best journal for your manuscript. So the impact factor, that is calculated by taking the average annual number of citations per article published by a journal. So top tier publishing outlets that have high impact factors or site scores, so that your decision could be straightforward. In addition to that, the authors should focus on indexing of the journals when selecting the best outlet. For instance, it is advised to focus on indexing and abstracting, such as Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science, ABS, Procast, when picking the appropriate journal for your manuscript. So that is how you can identify a top tier journal out of thousands journals available in your discipline for the submission. In addition to that, you can look at your references as well. So this will help you narrow your choices. That will help you to identify the most suitable journal for your study. In addition to that, you have to review the recent publications in each candidate journal. You have to find out what are the hot topics, what are the accepted type of articles, and so on. So by following up this procedure, you will be able to find out the best suitable journal for your manuscript. In addition to that, so it is required to focus on manuscript quality than the quantity. Next slide, Disha. So in South Asia, most researchers focus on quantity than the quality. So however, I would like to suggest that it is better to focus on at least 2 to 3 top tier publications than 10 to 12 poor quality publications a year. Further, you have to focus on the right audience as well. So identifying the right audience, that is essential, because they are your customers, they are your readers, they will cite you. So we know that in marketing, identifying the audience, that basically plays a essential or crucial role before designing anything. So on a similar ground, when we are writing a manuscript, so it is essential to identify who are our customers, who will read our papers, and who will cite our papers. We need to have that understanding before writing the manuscript. So here, first you have to verify their interest in your study. For an example, if you consider the stated topic, so that is the first topic, dividend policy determinants of Sri Lankan firms, a triangulation approach. So here, the dividend policy, that is a highly investigated topic. So if you search dividend policy, you can find out more than 4,000 to 5,000 seminal work published during the past 5 to 6 decades. But when you look at this topic, the triangulation as a novel approach that provides some kind of interest for the audience. So this topic we have taken in order to enhance the curiosity of the audience and also to enhance the interest of the audience. So gaining interest of the audience, that is essential from the topic itself. In addition to that, you have to determine the range of the audience, whether it is local or international. For an example, if you take the stated topic, again the second topic, determinants of dividend policy evidence from an emerging and developing market, here we can identify that the focus audience is the emerging and developing market. We have written this paper for the emerging and developing market, and we identified the journal which is highly focused on emerging and developing market. So we have found the best suitable journal based on our requirement, based on audience's requirement. So matching the audience along with the journal, that is also essential. We have to focus on that as well. Next slide, Diza. So as you can see, the two research topics, based on these two research topics, we have developed, basically conducted two studies, and we published it in well-known reputed journal, that is Managerial Finance by Emerald Publishing, that is in 2019. So for the first paper, that is to gain basically the interest of the audience, whereas the second paper we focus on the emerging and developing market type of the audience. Next slide, Disa. Next slide. So next we have to see the significance of your study as well. So what are the implications in terms of the human, social, environmental and behavioral aspects? So we have to focus on that as well. That is essential. Here, research that centers on human, social, environmental and behavioral implications often offer basically several key advantages for top-tier journals. So starting from real-world relevance. So top-tier journals often seek research that addresses real-world problems. So studies focusing on human behavior, social dynamics, environmental impacts, and behavioral interventions directly engage with the issues that affect individuals, communities, and ecosystems. So this real-world relevance enhances the importance of the research and its applicability to broader context, so making it more attractive to journal editors and readers. So that we have to see the real-world relevance, which is essential. We have to focus on that. So the second area we should focus under the human, social, environmental, and behavioral aspects, that is interdisciplinary appeal. So journals value interdisciplinary research that bridges gap between different fields of study. By considering human, social, environmental, and behavioral dimensions, researchers can offer comprehensive insights into complex phenomena. So this interdisciplinary approach that enrich the research appear into journals seeking diverse and nuanced scholarship. So the third area we should focus is the policy and practical implications. So research with implications for policy making, interventions, and decision making processes, that is highly valued by the journals, specifically the top tier journals. So studies that investigate the human behavior, social dynamics, environmental impacts, and behavioral interventions that provide actionable insights for addressing societal challenges. So this potential for influencing policies and practices that increases the significance of the research and enhances its appeal to top tier journals. So the fourth area I should focus today is the ethical considerations, that is also utmost important. So journals, they prioritize research that adheres to the ethical standards and demonstrate a commitment to protecting human subjects and its environment. So studies focusing on human, social, environmental, and behavioral implications often raise ethical considerations related to consent, privacy, and also environmental impact. So focusing these ethical concerns increases the credibility and also the integrity of the research, making it more suitable for publication in reputed journals. In addition to that, research with implications for human, social, environmental, and behavioral outcomes that has potential to reach a wide audience beyond academia. So journals recognize the value of research that can inform published discourse and also influence decision making while promoting positive change. So studies that contribute to sustainability, social justice, well-being, and also the behavioral change are particularly sought after by top-tier journals due to their broader impact. So another area is to be considered or focused, that is broader impact. So in summary, so the researchers who effectively integrate these factors into their work are more likely to contribute to meaningful scholarship and publish in prestigious academic outlets. Next slide, Diza. Another area I have taken in order to focus, that is originality. So originality, that is a key expectation for a top-tier journal, and researchers should focus it in their work. So therefore, I would like to discuss why originality is crucial and how it contributes to the value of research in the top-tier journals. Originality that basically focuses on advancing the knowledge. So top-tier journals aim to publish research that significantly advances the field's knowledge and understanding. So most of my colleagues and students, they complain that it is really difficult to publish in top-tier journals, even we do a better work. But you have to think whether the research you have conducted, it is advancing the knowledge or not. So original research breaks new ground by presenting novel findings, insights, methodologies, or theoretical frameworks as well. So this advancement of knowledge that is essential for publishing the boundaries of the discipline forward and also ensuring that the research remains innovative and also relevant. In addition to that, we have to look whether the area we have selected or the topic we are investigating that is contributing to the literature. We have to focus on that. If it is not contributing to the literature, so no point of taking such research. So original research that adds to the existing body of literature by offering perspectives and also evidence or interpretations as well. So it basically fills the gaps in knowledge, challenges prevailing assumptions, and also opens up new avenues for inquiry. So by contributing to new knowledge and perspectives, so researchers, they enrich the scholarly discourse and provide valuable insights for future research and practice. Another area we should focus, because if you are doing a research, it should set the agenda. Setting the agenda, that is important. Original research that has the potential to shape the research agenda and influence the direction of the field. So breakthrough studies or paradigm shifting findings that can redefine research priorities, spark new lines of inquiry, and inspire further investigations. So by setting up the agenda, original research drives intellectual progress and also guides the development of the discipline over the time. So we have to focus whether our research that sets the agenda. In addition to that, top-tier journals, they are known for publishing groundbreaking research that garners attention and recognition within the academic community and also beyond. Original research that generate buzz, citations, and media coverage that can enhance the reputation of both the researchers and also the journal. So building a reputation for publishing innovative and influential work that attracts high caliber submissions and establishes the journal as a thought leader in the field. In addition to that, we have to focus whether our research that fosters the innovation. Original research fosters a culture of innovation by encouraging researchers in order to think creatively, take risks, and explore new ideas. So it basically stimulates the curiosity and also experiments, driving scientific progress and discovery. So by showcasing innovative approaches, or methods or findings, top-tier journals, they inspire others to push the boundaries of knowledge and pursue new lines of inquiry. So the last area I would like to highlight under the originality is that maintaining rigor and integrity. Original research must meet rigorous standard of quality, integrity, and also the replication. So top-tier journals, they prioritize research that demonstrate methodological rigor, sound theoretical foundations, and also transparent reporting practices. So in summary, originality is essential for top-tier journals because it advances the knowledge, contributes to the literature, sets the agenda, builds the reputation, and fosters the innovation while maintaining the rigor and integrity. So that as researchers, if we are to publish in top-tier journals, we should focus on originality. So researchers, they should strive to produce original work that breaks the new ground, challenge the existing paradigms, and make a meaningful impact on the field. So by focusing originality, you can enhance the value of research and increase the likelihood of publication in prestigious academic journals. In addition to that, in addition to the originality, so the last point, but not least, we have to focus on the manuscript as well. Next slide, Deza. So here as authors, we have to see whether the manuscript follow a scientific approach. Instead of a no approach, I have seen during the past few decades that there are some research, there are no approaches, there are no perfect methodologies and so on, where we proceeded with desk rejections at that times. So editors see whether the manuscript focus on recent and contextual literature in order to differentiate it from other studies in the same phenomena. So authors have to recheck whether the manuscript follow the submission guidelines of the respective journal, which is essential. Next slide, Disa. Now discuss the article structure in order to have a better understanding on do's and don'ts when writing an article, as we have to focus our product. So here, if we are going to sell a product, our product is the manuscript. So in order to gain competitive advantages, what are the areas we focus? We should focus on the manuscript. We should have that understanding. That's why I have taken the manuscript structure or the article structure on board for today's discussion. So as you can see, a full article that consisted of the title, author details, and also the abstract keywords and the main text. So main text that includes introduction, literature review, results, discussion, conclusions, implications, and also letter part, we can see acknowledgement, references, and appendices if any. Next slide, Disa. So let's discuss starting from the title itself. So we have to focus on our title. That's why I have taken the title as the first area to be discussed under the manuscript structure or the article structure. So developing your title, that is an opportunity to gain readers' attention. Next slide, Disa. So here you have to remember that readers are the reviewers and authors who will comment and cite your article. So therefore, this is an opportunity for you, or this is the first instance where you can gain a positive impression about your paper. So therefore, you should spend some more valuable time in developing an eye-catching and meaningful title. You have to keep the title more informative and concise. As reviewers, we check whether the title is specific and whether it reflects the content of the manuscript. In addition to that, as editors, we hate titles that make no sense or fail to represent the subject matter adequately. You have to avoid here the technical jargons and abbreviations when developing your title. I have seen that even with abbreviations and technical jargons, researchers, they have published in top tier journals, but that is based on their aims and scope and objectives of the journals. But generally, we do not put technical jargons or abbreviation when developing our titles. So we as authors would like to have larger reader base so that we have to put it into layman's language where everyone can understand what is all about. So here I would like to give you a tip. You have to discuss with your superiors, colleagues, and also make collaborations if they add value for your research. So the next we have to discuss on the abstract. What are the areas we should focus when writing the abstract? So the abstract, that should be a kind of a standalone one. It is basically like an advertisement of your final product. So as industry people spending millions in advertisements, we as authors, we should spend some more valuable time in developing our advertisement as well, which is essential. So as a reviewer and also as an editor, I have seen abstract with nonsense approaches. Sometimes authors simply cut and paste their conclusion or findings. Then I was thinking about why our people cannot spend some valuable time on making it more attractive and valuable, because it is their advertisement. Editors, they basically will look at your title and also the abstract first. They will proceed further screening only if the abstract is convincing enough. So in the abstract, you should briefly tell your prospective reader about what you have done and also why is it important for the stakeholders, for the people who are interested in your research. So you should avoid technical jargons and uncommon abbreviations when writing the abstract as well. You should have a clear and better understanding on the content of the abstract. So most of the researchers tend to rationalize their research in the abstract itself, I have seen. So is it a correct place to do so? So the answer is no. You can take your rationale to the introductory session, because the justifications we can have under the introduction or under the literature review. So that you have a question now, what should we include in the abstract? You should include only the purpose, methodology in brief, key findings, implication of the study, and also the originality of your study. So these are the essential ingredients of abstract. So here you have to adhere to the selected journal submission guidelines. Here you have to adhere to the format of the abstract, including the word count and the structure of the abstract as well. If the journal prefers a structured abstract like Emerald, so you have to work on the same. We at South Asian Journal of Marketing prefer a structured abstract. Unfortunately, 10 to 15% of submissions are with unstructured format, meaning that they have written these papers for other journals and they subsequently submit to the South Asian Journal of Marketing without, following up on the submission guidelines. So the next area I would like to focus today under the focus strategy, that is the keywords. Next slide, these are keywords that can be considered as labels of your manuscript. So keywords that help you to find your article from a dozen of research articles available on the databases. So I would like to ask you a question now. Would you like to have more readability and more citations for your articles? Yes, obviously. If so, you have to spend some more valuable time on your keywords, developing your keywords. To have an impact, you must improve the search engine optimization. Search engine results are generated that is based on titles, abstract, and also keywords of your article. So meaning that if you want to have higher appearance, higher readability, and also higher downloads and higher citations, ultimately, you have to use right keywords that is most relevant or most appropriate to your study. The keyword should be from the abstract itself. Put yourself into researcher's shoes. Avoid jargons. It is not all about single words. You can even use phrases. Think internationally. For an example, if you need to put United States of America as a keyword, think what is widely used. Whether it is US or United States of America. If the acronym is widely used, put it as the keyword. Simple as that. So the next area I would like to discuss today, the introduction. What are the areas we should focus when right in the introduction? Next slide, Disa. So introduction that can be considered as a chance to convince your readers on your importance of your work. Here you have to describe the research gaps, emphasizing on your research problem. So if there are existing articles addressing the same question, here you have to emphasize on its main limitations while highlighting what you are going to achieve. So even you can differentiate your study from the previous studies. Here you have to discuss the rationale in comparison to the recently conducted studies in order to derive your originality. We as editors hate references relevant to your work or inappropriate judgment about your own achievements as well. Now let's look at, so what are the pitfalls of introduction as well in order to have a better understanding. Next slide, Disa. So most of the articles we received are with lengthy introduction. That is one of the major pitfalls we see. Sometimes it's 4 to 5 pages with many subheadings. So here I request you to reduce it to 1.5 pages with 1.5 spacing. In addition to that, we can see introduction with too many subheadings such as problem statements, objectives, research questions, significance of the study, and so on. So seems that you have copied it from your thesis and put as it is. So I here request you to not to use too many words and also too many subheadings in the introduction. You can have only one heading. I don't encourage subheadings if there is no any other special case. So if there is a kind of a special case in order to justify the context and all, you can have a subheading. But introduction, that is not a history lesson. You have to keep the reader's interest from the beginning of your research. Another pitfall I see in the manuscript is that some researchers tend to have mixed bag of introduction with results, discussion, conclusion. You have thrown away in good for good measure. You have to keep sections separate to ensure the manuscript flows logically from one section to another. So in most of the articles, we can see that it uses the used car salesman field. Used car salesman field. What you are doing is the same thing what other researchers did, but what you are doing is you do a cut and polish, and in order to show that you have an original outlook. So used car salesmen, what they do is they cut and polish their vehicles and make it new, and they highlight that so this is in showroom condition and so on. In a similar manner, you have also as researchers, what you are doing is you are showing that your article has an original look, using some impressive words which basically enhances the curiosity of the readers and so on. So to showcase that, sometimes you tend to use excessive words such as novel, first time, first ever in this context and so forth. But remember that editors and reviewers, they are experts in their respective field. So if they get to know that your claim is not clear, that will be the end of your story. So hence, we have to be genuine, be ethical, and we have to claim only what we can claim. So the next, I would like to discuss on the methodology section. I am not going to touch the literature review section today. So in the literature review, you should focus on both theoretical underpinnings, theoretical review, and also the empirical review. And also at the end, you should have identified the research gaps of your study. That is essential. Next slide, Disa. Under the method section, the methodology section, that should capture a brief methodology on what and how did you conduct your research. So the details that should be on summary form, but the readers should be able to reproduce your research work employing the same approach. We call it as replication. So this is not a correct place to enlighten on broader terms such as research philosophies like ontology, epistemology, positivism, interpretivism, and so on. But here what you have to do is you have to basically highlight on the method you followed, what sort of research process you followed, the sample size and sampling design, and also the technique, data collection procedure, how did you overcome if there are some biases. So if you have a methodological innovation in your study, you can elaborate more about it, emphasizing why it is appropriate, what did you do, and so on. So you have to remember that reviewers criticize incomplete or incorrect methods, so that you have to have a support from a methodological expert if you need any clarification. So the next area we should focus on right in the manuscript, that is the results. So you have to present your results in a very summary form. So most of the time we can see that the statistical output has been incorporated as it is in the result section. It is one of the major pitfalls of the result section I have seen. Next slide, Desa. So as you can see on the screen, which is being shared now, please next slide, Desa. So as you can see on the screen, we have proceeded only with the results we can explain in a meaningful manner in this study. So otherwise, you have to skip from those output. For instance, if there are no meaning in descriptive statistics, I advise you to remove the same. So accordingly, you have to present only the representative results. So what you are presenting under the results is that only what we can basically explain. So another important point is that you should not hide the results with the purpose of saving it for another paper. What you are doing here is, by doing so, you will lose the evidence to support your conclusion, and also it will hinder the value and contribution of your study. In addition to that, you have to use subheadings as per the objectives or research questions or hypotheses in order to keep results in the same type together. Write it as a clear-cut story. Then the readers can read it as a clear and easy to understand story. So the next point I would like to discuss, that is the discussion section of your manuscript. Next slide, Desa. Discussion that is basically devoted in order to explain what the results mean. So this is one of the most important sections of your article. Here you have the chance to sell your data. You can sell your data in the discussion section. So I experienced that most of the articles are being rejected since the discussion part is really weak or there is no discussion at all. Here you have to make the discussion only corresponding to the results, but you have not reiterate the same. In addition to that, you have to compare and contrast your findings with the previous studies. If there are disagreements, please do not ignore those studies. What you have to do is you have to confront it and convince the reader that what you are doing is correct or better, or explain the difference and why it is. So this will help you to derive some form of originality in your research. So the last section of your manuscript, that is the conclusion, that is before the references. So you have to focus on conclusion as well. In the conclusion, next slide, Disa. In the conclusion, I would like to highlight that this is not a place to repeat the same thing which you have discussed in the discussion section. You have to conclude your findings in a meaningful manner. Here, you have to tell your reader how your work advances the field from present state of knowledge. Next slide, Disa. So as you can see on the PPT, we published this article in the qualitative research in financial markets. Here we conclude what are the findings of the secondary data results, what are the findings from the survey results, and also ultimately conclude with the comprehension. So then we discuss the economic significance of our study as well. So conclusion is not for findings, conclusion is not for results. It is only for the conclusion. So it is really difficult to evaluate your work without clear conclusions, so that the reviewers and readers will find it difficult to judge the work, and it may have negative impact on your acceptance decision as well. So as I stated, here you should not repeat the abstract or just summary and conclusions, including the implications and future directions. So it is required to have a clear, specific justification for your work and indicate possible applications and extensions as well. In addition to that, you have to emphasize on the implications for the practitioners, society, or to the policymakers. So here you can highlight value of your research to the other stakeholders, which is complementary. So I advise you to use this space in order to emphasize the implications, conclusion, and also the future directions. So next slide, Lisa. So last, under the article structure, focusing on the article structure, we are going to discuss on the references as well. That is a very important area, crucial area to be focused when writing the manuscript. So as editors, we see most of the mistakes in the references than any other part of the manuscript. Next slide, Lisa. It is one of the most annoying problems and causes great headache among the editors. Here we can see 4 major problems in your references. The first problem we see in the references is that authors include full references which are not included in the in-text citations in the body of the text. So meaning that what you are doing is you are copying the references from a thesis or dissertation and put it as it is. So which you should avoid. The second issue we see is that authors miss full references of some of the in-text citations, meaning that you are adding some important literature when you are further developing your papers, but you do not remember to incorporate the full references to the respective papers you have cited to the reference list. You should avoid it. You should include all the references which are cited in the body of the text. So for do that, in order to understand that, you should do the reconciliation for the references before the submission, which is essential. The third problem I see is authors submit the papers with incomplete references. So most of the time we can see references without volume numbers, without issue numbers or page numbers if it is a journal. So it reflects that you are not a good researcher. the editors, they can have some kind of a judgment on you by simply looking at the references. The last issue in the reference I see, you are not adhering to the particular referencing style prepared by the journal. So if the journal prefers the Harvard referencing style, you submitted with it with Vancouver style. So totally different. You ignore the submission guidelines. So there will be a disregistration for such articles. You are not focused. So in addition to that, you have to avoid excessive self-citations in your articles as well. So that you have to get rid of these mistakes if you really want to publish in a top tier journal in order to gain competitive advantages. So last but not least, under the manuscript writing, so I would like to focus on the cover letter as well. So you have to focus on cover letter. So you should view this cover letter as a job application letter. This is the place you can sell your work. Here you have to highlight why did you submit this article to this manuscript, mentioning what would make your manuscript very special to the journal. In addition to that, you can mention special requirements, if any. For an example, if you do not wish to manuscript to be reviewed by certain reviewers, and any conflict of interest you can mention in the cover letter. But you have to understand that most editors will not reject a manuscript only because of the cover letter is bad or no cover letter. But a good cover letter that may accelerate the editorial process of your paper. So see the cover letter as an opportunity provided by the journal in order to sell your work. So see it as a job application letter. So in the cover letter, you should not summarize your manuscript or repeat the abstract. So it should also be a novel thing. So far, we have discussed on what are the areas to be focused. So we started from, you could remember that, selecting a suitable journal. We discussed more than 6 areas today. So now I would like to discuss or emphasize what not to focus when writing papers or when submitting papers. So as researchers, we should not focus on predatory, fake or clone journals that harm our academic integrity and reputation. Next slide, Lisa. So the researchers, specifically the early career researchers who are new to the academia, they choose basically such predatory or fake journals due to lack of knowledge and quick publications. They see it as an opportunity. But when you are publishing in predatory, fake or clone journals, it harms your academic integrity and reputation. So how to identify a predatory, fake or clone journal? That is a question. So here I would like to recommend a 3-step simple plan for the researchers in order to steer clear the predatory journals that involve doing your homework in order to ensure journal and publishers' credibility. So here, first you have to check whether the journal or publisher is listed in Bayes list. So there are criticisms over the Bayes list. Some journals are not included, some good journals are also included. With regard to the inclusion and exclusion criteria, there are some criticisms behind the Bayes list. So that even without referring the Bayes list, there are ways we can identify the fake, predatory or clone journals. So here you have to check the journal, whether it is a member of the Directory of Open Access Journals, we call it as DOAJ, COPE, OSPA, or STM. If the journal claim open access, they should be listed on such databases. And if not, you can avoid it. If the journal has claimed that it is indexed, you have to check which such original indexing databases, whether it is indexed or not. Do not rely on what journal website says. You have to check it from Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science, ABS, and so on in order to see whether the journal is actually indexed in such databases. The third area, you can check whether the journal is following ethical practices, including good governance. Here, you have to check the journal contact information, research the editorial board, take a look at the peer review process and publication timelines, read through past issues of the journal while checking the APC charge. So when you are going through the contact information, most of the information are not institutional email address, just Gmail or Yahoo email address. And also the editorial board, you cannot find them by Googling it. Or the peer review process, it takes only 2 to 3 days or 7 days maximum for the peer review process, which is impossible to complete. So those are the basically suspicious cases for predatory or clone or fake journals. Here I would like to highlight that the APC, if the journal says APC, we charge APC, that should be separated from the editorial process. If the editor himself is asking for the payment, so meaning that that is a suspicious case, because it is conflict of interest for the editor. So there should be a separate editorial manager for that. So by following this process, you can simply avoid the predatory journals. The decision to submit should be based on extensive discussions with your superiors, authors, and also the experts of the field. So here I would like to highlight some of the experiences that I gained being the editor of the South Asian Journal of Marketing. Next slide, Disa. South Asian Journal of Marketing, it is a platinum open access journal published by Emerald Publishing in association with Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka and also the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. So here we can see that 10% of the submissions are out of scope. In addition to that, 20% of the submissions do not follow the submission guidelines when they initially submit the articles. So when a paper is sent for revision, we can see inadequate responses to the reviewers. Sometimes for editors and also for the reviewers, it takes time to figure out what are the changes done and where it is. So 10% of the authors, they resubmit papers without a revision or a slight revision stating that all the comments have been addressed. So this is in a publishable form. Here I would like to emphasize that you have to fully adhere to the submission guidelines. For instance, if the maximum word count allowed is 7,000 words, so you should not proceed with 7,001. The reason is that that one word has an additional cost for the journal. So similarly, you have to fully align to the submission guidelines at the first submission itself. It will reduce the time and effort of the researchers and also the reviewers and editors. If you have done some revisions, be specific. State what changes you have done. In the response letter, you can clearly highlight it. State where are the changes. For an example, you can state, please see, third paragraph, third page, second paragraph, 11th line. Be specific to all individual comments. So then what you are going to do is you are going to make easy the whole process for the editors and reviewers. So far we have discussed on what to focus and also what not to focus, and also we discuss on some of the experiences as well. The second strategy in the Venn diagram, that is how to differentiate. Here I would like to repeat that all these strategies be applied concurrently to achieve definitive competitive advantages for your manuscript. So question is how to differentiate the next strategy under the red ocean strategy. Next slide, Disa. So applying differentiation in research, that involves identifying unique aspects of your study that set it apart from existing literature and contribute to its originality and also the significance. So here it is possible to differentiate your manuscript from the other previous studies in order to create the originality or contribution of your research. So you can conduct a comprehensive literature review in order to identify the gaps, limitations or unanswered questions in the existing research. Look for areas where previous studies have not adequately addressed certain aspects of the topic, or where conflicting findings warrant further investigation. Identifying these gaps that provide opportunities to differentiate your research by focusing on unexplored or underexplored areas or territories. So in addition to that, you can proceed with contextual differentiation and methodological differentiation as well. So how to do the contextual differentiation? Here you have to study different populations. Sometimes assume that a study is conducted with regard to a particular population. But if you are investigating subpopulations inside the main population and their behavior, if that is adding something new to the literature, so that makes a kind of originality. So that differentiate your work from the previous research. So that's why I highlighted that here you have to study different populations, different settings or contexts that have been overlooked or marginalized in previous research. By focusing on unique demographics, cultural groups, geographic locations, or historical periods, you can uncover novel insights and contribute to a more comprehensive and understanding of the topic. So tailoring your research to specific populations or subpopulations or context enhances its relevance and also the differentiation ultimately. In addition to that, you can differentiate your research by using unconventional research methodologies. So we are going to discuss different methodologies, mixing with regard to the methodologies under the collaboration approaches as well. That is under the white ocean strategy today. So here you have to explore alternative data collection techniques, experimental designs, analytical approaches, so interdisciplinary methods that offer new insights or perspectives. Innovative methodologies that can help you uncover unique findings or patterns that distinguish your study from others in the field. In addition to that, you can incorporate insights from multiple disciplines or theoretical frameworks in order to enrich your research approach. So by integrating perspectives from fields such as psychology, sociology, economics, anthropology, or even environmental science, you can offer a more holistic understanding of complex phenomena. You can see the problem in different angles, drawing on diverse disciplinary perspectives that can lead to innovative insights and novel research contributions. So in addition to that, it is possible to gain the first move advantage if you apply differentiation, focus, innovation, and also all the other approaches together in a single study. It will pave the way towards achieving definitive competitive advantage for a top tier publication. So in addition to the differentiation and focus, so we discuss on another area, that is collaborations, which is coming from the white ocean strategy. In order to have competitive advantages, it is essential to make collaborations. Next slide, Lisa. So collaborations that can be discussed in several areas in research. But our question today is how to collaborate, when to collaborate, with whom to collaborate. So collaborations that can occur between or within the methodologies. Collaboration that can occur between the people, human aspects. Collaborations that can occur within academia and also within the industry. And also collaboration that can be between the disciplines as well. So when we look at the mixing or collaborative strategies, the first one, as you can see on the screen, we can proceed with mixing on the methodologies we apply in the research. So most management related issues are abstract concepts in nature, so which can make them challenging to define and also to study. So therefore, it is suggested that new research methods such as triangulation, be applied as they provide different ways to investigate a particular problem in the management related research specifically. There should be a proper justification for mixing two different or similar methodologies or strategies. That is essential. I'm not going to discuss in detail with regard to mixing due to time constraints. So by utilizing triangulation, you can see the problem from different angles and can provide a comprehensive answer for the problem you have on your hands. So the rationale for mixing there can be several rationale behind the mixing, including participant enrichment, instrument fidelity, and also fidelity of intervention, and also it will enhance the significance. We call it as significant enhancement. And also the corroboration. It will enhance the validity, reliability, generalizability, and many more. So the mixing that can occur between two methodologies or even within two similar strategies in the research process. So the mixing that occurs between two different methodologies, we call it as mixed method approach, or between the method triangulation. So the philosophical overview of the mixed methods that is relied upon the pragmatism, that is a practical viewpoint. In addition to that, mixing that can happen within two similar strategies as well, that we call as within the method triangulation or date triangulation. So here we can mix, for an example, a case study with grounded research, both of which are qualitative strategies in a single research. In addition to that, we can have multiple data collectors, observers, or analysis in a single study. We call it as investigator triangulation, which is another form of collaboration. In addition to that, we can mix multiple theories that have a similar set of assumptions. So meaning that the complementary theories we call theoretical triangulation. In addition to that, we can utilize more than a single triangulation strategy. We call it as multiple triangulation. So by mixing methods or strategies, more than two methods or strategies, we can eliminate the weaknesses of one single approach by using the strength of the other approach, so which is complementary. But remember that there should be a sufficient justification for mixing. So when we discuss about collaborations between the people, so the question is, with whom should we collaborate? So as authors, we can collaborate with our peer researchers for a synergistic approach. So I would like to highlight that 1 + 1, that is not equal to 2, since there is a synergistic approach there. So the answer, that should be more than 2. Through collaborations, you can improve and innovate your study based on different expertise. Some researchers are quantitative researchers, some are qualitative experts, some are mixed method experts, some are expert in their respective disciplines, some are the analytical experts. If you can collaborate for a common goal of making innovation or making competitive advantage, that will provide a definitive competitive advantage in achieving the same. In addition to that, we cannot see many research projects in the South Asian region which is collaborated between the academia and also the industry. So, however, in the developed markets, we can see there are ample collaborations in research between academia and the industry, specifically Western part of the world. For an example, most higher research degrees such as PhDs are funded by the industry in the Western world in order to investigate industry-related issues, but very few in the South Asian region. Suppose we can collaborate with the industry for the common goal of making innovations in research. So in that case, we can see the issues from a practical point of view and make genuine innovations in the entire research process. But I'm happy that South Asian governing entities such as UGC of India, they have recently taken novel initiative in order to recruit industry people in academia as professors of practice and also associate professors of practice and assistant professors of practice. So that will provide definitive competitive advantages and also innovations in the future for India, in time to come. So the last approach for the collaboration, that is between the disciplines. So as I already discussed, so management, specifically management and social sciences related research that often involve a range of disciplines from psychology to neuroscience to sociology and also the management. So collaborating with experts from other fields that can generate new insights and approaches to study management behavior. And also the cognition, providing innovations in the entire research process. So the future is for the multidisciplinary studies. Next slide, Disa. So the last strategy I wanted to highlight in order to make innovations, in order to make competitive advantages, that is innovations, making innovations. It is derived from blue ocean strategy, you could remember. So we can use new technologies in order to make innovations in our research. Next slide, Disa. So I'll take a maximum of 10 to 15 minutes in order to wind up the session. So as I stated, we can use new technologies in order to make innovations in our research. So this can involve using new technology that minimize the weaknesses of the existing technologies, and also experimenting with new study designs or using new technologies such as virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and also blockchain technology or brain imaging. So there are several ways new technologies can be leveraged in order to drive the innovations with other approaches. So as you can see, we can use advanced data analytics. So here we can utilize machine learning, data mining, big data analysis in order to derive insight from large data sets. So that will enable researchers to identify patterns, trends, and correlations that might not be apparent through traditional methods. So you can make innovations in findings through utilization of advanced data analytics. So we can incorporate big data methodologies in order to process vast amount of information from various sources. So integrating diverse data sets that can unveil correlations and trends that might not be evident when analyzing very smaller segregated data sets. So in addition to that, we can implement predictive analytics in order to forecast trends and outcome based on historical data. So this can guide researchers in identifying potential areas for exploration and also for the innovation. In addition to that, we can use high performing computing in order to make innovations in research. How? That is the question. So here we can employ robust computing systems to simulate complex models, conduct simulations, or perform computations that were previously unattainable due to limitations in computational capacity. In addition to that, we can use automation and robotics throughout the research process. So integrate automation, artificial intelligence, and robotics in order to streamline repetitive tasks, accelerate experimentation process, and also to improve data collection and analysis more accurately. In addition to that, we can use virtual and augmented reality as well. So use VR and AR technologies to create immersive simulations. So enhance training environments or visualize complex data in new ways. So here it will facilitate innovative approaches to research and experimentation. In addition to that, we can use blockchain technology. Here we can employ blockchain for secure and transparent data management, ensuring data integrity and also security, enabling new methods of collaboration, particularly in the field require security and tamper-proof records such as finance accountancy. In addition to that, we can leverage the artificial intelligence, apply AI algorithms in order to analyze the tests and so on. So that will enhance the entire research process through acceleration. So by integrating these new technologies into the entire research process, we as scientists and also you as researchers can explore uncharted territories. So accelerate the pace of discovery and also uncover the innovative solutions in order to understand complex challenges across various domains in achieving competitive advantages. So finally, last but not least, I would like to highlight that by applying these strategies together, focus, differentiation, in addition to that, collaboration from white ocean strategy, innovation from the blue ocean strategy. If you are using these 4 strategies together with the common goal of achieving competitive advantages, that will pave the way towards value creation and also publishing in top-tier journals. So I know that I have not covered everything due to the time limitation we had, but I hope you have learned something new out of this session. And I wish you all the very best. And it is time for the Q&A now. So these are, if you have any questions, so we can discuss.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Yes. So before I start, we received a few questions. Definitely, there are so many people requesting for your presentation, Professor Dewasiri. So if we can share it. Otherwise, this is a recorded session, and the recording is shared with everyone. And you can go back to the recording, watch it, look at the presentation all over again. So just for the people requesting for the presentation. For the others who are attending, if you have any questions, please do leave your questions in the questions tab and we'll take them. Now, the first question that we have received is that should we include empirical value of the findings in the abstract?
Sorry?
Should we include empirical value of the findings in the abstract?
Yeah, actually, that is not recommended in order to include values in the abstract. That is not essential. You can discuss the findings on a more meaningful manner. What is required is whether the audience who are reading the manuscript, whether they can understand or not. So this should be written in order to understand in a very layman language. So that's why the empirical values and results are not included in the abstract. So most of the time we tend to discuss on the significance, not based on the values, but we explain it in words. So that is for the understanding purposes of the researchers. The abstract is for the audience where everyone can understand by simply reading it. But there are some journals, specifically in the mathematical and other domains, they include mathematical figures and also the data and also the output is statistical output in the abstract. So that is based on journals requirements.
Thank you. The next question that we have received is that do journals give preferences to authors from renowned and prestigious institutions?
Disha, can you repeat the question?
Yes. Are you able to hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. The question is that do journals give
that is better now.
Do journals give preferences to authors from renowned and prestigious institutions?
So basically editors, they do not give that priority. So the editors, as editors, and also the journal and also the reviewers, most of the time they prefer the contribution you are making in the study. That is more important than renowned institutions and also the renowned authors. So what you are making in your research or what you are contributing, so what sort of a significance you are addressing, so that is more important than the renowned institutions and so on. Because the reason is that the research, the published research, that can even be from not from reputed institution, isn't it? Yes, researchers are everywhere across the field, everywhere in the world. They are not only from reputed institutions. They can be from, second tier, third tier institutions, but they are making very good contributions. So the acceptance from a journal point of view, that will be based on the contribution you are making throughout your study, not simply looking at the institution or also the author's reputation.
May I add to this, please?
Yeah. Yes.
So I think
Sangeeta.
there's a very good point here, because I think there's always a concern of, is there some kind of bias that we could be a victim of and we don't know about it? I think that's where this question often stems from. And I think we need to make that very clear that usually when we as reputed publishers, we work very hard to train our editors to make sure that there's no biasness that seeps into the decisions they make. Secondly, we have systems. Our submission systems work very differently on the publisher side, on the editor side as well. But as publishers, we also keep a lookout for how the decisions are being made by editors, and how this is coming in, how the submissions are moving forward. So that is to eliminate any kind of biasness that may have slipped in, because we understand this is all a human process, and we need to make sure that we are not causing, introducing any errors in our judgment of research. Because the ultimate aim, like Professor Dewasiri was saying, the aim for the editor and the publishing house both is to get the best of research out there. So we do have a checkpoints to make sure that this kind of practice is not, it's caught early if it is there at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Now, the next question that we have is, can I include literature review to my introduction, or should I make it as a separate heading?
So introduction, it is basically for the introduction. So you can have the rationale under the introduction, and also your objectives, and also the justification to the study, and also you can discuss the research gaps in order to, create the originality, showcase that you are doing original work, but not the literature review under the introduction. Literature is for literature review. There is a specific focus for the literature review. So it is not recommended that the introduction, the literature is also included in the under the introduction. So we cannot have some kind of significant advantage by doing so. So these sections are separately basically designed with separate purposes. So introduction, that is for the introduction, in order to understand the research problem, in order to justify the study, and also how to highlight the research gaps, and in order to showcase how your study is different from the previous studies. So the theoretical review or the literature review, that is in order to give you some kind of a theoretical underpinning to your research problem, and also what are the empirical studies investigated the same phenomenon, and also how they have investigated. So that should be separated with separate purposes. I hope I basically answered your question.
Definitely. Thank you so much. We've got another question. It says, how do I adhere to the word limit as well as provide all the information in the payment in the paper. They say that reviewers ask some information later on, and you just have to juggle between what is the word limit and how much information you want to share.
Yeah, that is one of the most important questions actually. So managing the word count, that is sometimes impossible when it comes to work. But remember that, so you know that there are some competitions for PhD scholars, we call it as 3MT. So in 3MT competition, what we do is the researchers, they have to present their research within 3 minutes, which they have carried out for 3 or 4 years on full-time basis. So simply think whether you can do it or not. If you can basically present a 3-year or 4-year work within 3 minutes, so why can't you present your findings and also the study you have carried out within the given word count? So that is a question for us as editors. So here you have to think whether you have included the most important information in your research. Either it can be in the introduction, it can be in the literature. So here you have to focus on what should be included and what should not be included. With regard to the literature also, there should be a clear basically understanding of what should be included and what should not be included. So if you can have that basically understanding, you can do it within the word limit you have given. Because in the under the revision stages, as the participant clearly stated, so in the reviewer stages also, reviewers ask different questions. When we are basically answering those questions, sometimes our word count may go up, but we should know how to manage it within the manuscript itself. So you can basically reduce not the literature if it is not important, some part of the literature if it is not important, and also for an example, if you have included descriptive statistics and so on, if that is not adding value, you can remove that, no problem. And also you have to understand what is important and what is not important in the manuscript. By understanding that, you can write within the word limit. For an example, so South Asian Journal of Marketing, we prefer 6,000 words for the manuscript. So anything more than 6,000 words, so we ask authors to basically revise and resubmit. Within 6,000, you should be able to explain. The reason is that if the PhD researchers, if they can explain what they have done in 3 minutes, you should be able to, do the revisions within the word count given. So adhering to the submission guidelines, that is essential, because the word count, it is designed as per the requirements of the journals and also the publisher. So Sangeeta, do you have anything to add?
I think you covered it very well, Professor Dewasiri. I don't have anything to add further.
And that is the last question that we have received for today's session. And thank you so much for the wonderful session, Professor Dewasiri. I would like to invite Ms. Kaushalyani for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Disha. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pleasure that I extend my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the Faculty of Management Studies of Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka and Emerald Publishing for the successful completion of the 10th session of the Faculty Development Program. So, firstly, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Dewasiri and Jayantha, Professor in Finance, Department of Accountancy and Finance, Faculty of Management Studies, Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka, for delivering an inspiring and enlightening session. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session you just delivered. Next, I would like to express my profound gratitude to Professor Atula Jnanapala, the Dean, Faculty of Management Studies, for his unwavering support. Further, a special thanks is extended to Professor M.S.A. Maslam, Chairman of the Research and Publication Unit, and all unit members for their invaluable contributions. Also, our heartfelt gratitude is extended again to Professor Jayantha and Dewasiri, Chairperson for the FDP Faculty Development Program, whose visionary leadership initiated this remarkable program. Next, a special word of thanks goes to Ms. Sangeeta Menon and Ms. Disha Lakhnapal from Emerald Publishing, whose collaboration was instrumental in organizing this exceptional program. My deepest gratitude also goes to the organizing committee, particularly to Ms. Shanika Ratnasiri, Program Secretary of the Faculty of Development Program, and Ms. Dimbutu Vijayaratne, Assistant Secretary, Faculty Development Program, who meticulously planned and executed every aspect of this program. Lastly, a sincere thank you to our esteemed audience, comprising senior professors, academics, researchers, industry participants, research students, and our exclusive media partner, Lake House Publishers, owned by Associated Newspapers of Ceylon Limited, for their enthusiastic participation. We eagerly anticipate your presence at the upcoming 11th session of the Faculty Development Program, titled Art of Obtaining Research by Professor Priyanka Tripathi. So thank you once again. Thank you all for your unwavering support and active participation. Have a nice day.
Just at the end, thank you so much, Professor Dewasiri, Sangeeta, all the representatives of Sabaragamuwa University of Sri Lanka. Thank you so much for making it today, and thank you to the audience for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.